welcome our next speaker. He is the Vice President of Attivo Networks, Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. Has extensive experience in sales and marketing management of high-tech solutions, solid emphasis on information technology, telecommunication, including wide area and local area networking, and cybersecurity solution. He will be speaking about deception-based threat detection methods and realities, changing the game on modern-day attackers. Let's give a big round of applause for Mr. Ray Kafity.
It was a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon, and I'm glad to see the pamphlet or the advertising from MENA InfoSec saying cyberspace, the new frontier, deception, orchestration, and black holes. So today what I plan to do is to actually give you a brief introduction to what deception is, where deception fits in the infrastructure or in the security bandwidth or the security layers of defense, and how it could help mitigate the attack and save your company for an eventual breach. We in the industry have been actually very lenient with attackers. We actually have been given the attacker the platform and the opportunity to roam around the network for substantial period of time. This is in the industry called dwell time. Dwell time is the time when the attack or when the attacker manages to bypass the peripheral protection controls and was able to land in the network. Currently, we are giving this attacker an average of 100 days to roam in the network without any inhibition or without any controls trying to alert you of his presence in the network. This situation has given the attacker the advantage over the SOC team or over the security professional to be able to be caught in the act. Till the concept of deception came into existence, and actually the technology of deception has turned the table around on the attackers. And the reason we say that is before deception, attackers had to be right one time to be able to enter into your network. Now, with deception being inside the network, the attacker has to be right all the time inside the network to avoid to make any mistakes, to be able to trip on some of the traps that Attivo has laid in the network, and we'll show you how that works. So I don't have to bore you with statistics, but you know that cyber attacks have been increasing, and the previous presenters have mentioned that point, and we re-emphasize that attacks on networks, it's not if you will be attacked. It is better for you to plan your security strategy on the concept that when will you be attacked, and put the right controls inside the network to be able to lessen the damage this attack inflicts into your network. We all know, and this is supported by Gartner and all the research firms that tracks the cybersecurity threat landscape, that prevention tools are a necessary tools inside your network. They probably can prevent 90 plus, or maybe 85+% of the attacks that are being bombarded, or your network is being bombarded on a daily basis. However, it is not enough to depend on prevention tools to be able to prevent the attack from coming into your network. The attacker will find a way, will find a vulnerability, will find a hole into your infrastructure to be able to compromise your network. So there is a shift in the cybersecurity market now from a prevention-only strategy to a combination of a prevention strategy and detection and response strategy, which means CISOs and security professionals now are putting their budget into two buckets: prevention, detection, and response. And deception is becoming the critical technology, most efficient technologies when you want to detect internal threats and do the required incident response for those attacks. So this is what I said. So the spend over the years has been on firewalls, web gateways, endpoint securities, proxy solutions, network anomaly solutions. And now security researchers and analysts are advising customers to split their needs or their requirements between prevention and detection and response to have a holistic and a balanced cybersecurity approach to minimize the attack that happens, or God forbids, into your organization. So why deception and why now? Those reasons, I'm sure, are apparent to each one of you if you are in the security field. Attackers are bypassing traditional security controls. They're bypassing firewalls, they're bypassing IDS, IPS, and they're managing to find vulnerabilities that enable them to position themselves in the network and start from there branching out to different resources in the network. The industry now is suffering from alert fatigue. You have so much controls that you have put into your network, and your SOC analysts are receiving multiple or a lot of alerts. And to be frank with you, most of those alerts are false positive alerts that do not relate to any substantial event or any substantial compromise in the network. Deception changes that, and we'll show you why. If you get an alert from a deception solution, this alert is 100% positive. This alert, that means you have somebody in your network is trying to do bad things, and you were able to capture his activities early in the cycle and giving you enough time to react to that attack before the eventual data breach or eventual compromise or breach of the network happens. Simply speaking, if you look at this slide, you will see orange-looking assets as well as real assets in the network. Basically, what deception or what Attivo deception does for your network is we spread the network with fake assets, fake endpoints, fake servers, fake IoT devices, fake SCADA solutions, where if, God forbids, the attacker manages to land inside the network with special luring techniques that we have with our solutions, we try to lure the attacker to uh, to come and execute his attack not on a real machine, but on a fake machine that you have planted inside your VLANs, inside your infrastructure, whereas now you have saved your real physical assets from a compromise, and the attacker believes that he is attacking a real machine, or he's attacking a real asset. So the idea of deception is to divert the attack, the online attack that happens inside the network, divert it from a real machine or a real asset to an imaginary or a fake machine. It's a fake machine to you, but to the attacker, he does not even have a chance to decide or know that this is a fake machine, because the solution we present is quite authentic in nature. So some of the myths and realities about deception. Some people say that deception is just a fancy honeypot. That is true. I mean, true in a sense that we have started the solution as a honeypot, but the purpose of a honeypot is completely different than a complete deception platform. Honeypots were in the market long time, even before I got into the business. They were used by research firms. They had low interaction with the attacker, no authenticity at all, and they were mostly directed outside of the network. The concept of deception platforms took all those variables, and instead of pointing that honeypot to the internet, we took that and we put it inside of your network, no access to the internet, where has a high interaction. We developed solutions or features within the Attivo solution to be able to interact with the attacker in a meaningful way and gather all of the intelligence that is needed on that attack dynamically and share it immediately with all of the controls that you have within the network. The objective is to obstruct the progress of the attack inside the network and prevent him or her from reaching its final destination. You are laying booby traps inside the network where if I was an attacker, I will trip in a booby trap and I fall victim to that, and I will slowly being redirected to something that is totally fake, and alert will come out, and you will have a speedy access, hopefully, to incident response. Some people say deception is hard to deploy. Well, by using technology in the market, machine learning, central line management, we have managed to make deception deployment as easy as possible. Misconception number 3, they say that all deception providers are the same. When you look at or when you evaluate any deception solution, it is irrelevant if you buy a solution from a vendor and you install it into your network. If it's easily traceable or easily fingerprinted by the attacker, you practically have wasted that investment. That means if I'm an attacker and I can fingerprint that there are honeypots or there are deception servers inside the network, then I can bypass it and go directly to the... So it is very important to really evaluate solutions and evaluate the authenticity of the solution. Are you using real operating systems to spread your deception servers? If you're using emulation software or emulation operating system, that will give the hacker an indication that this might be a deception server. Are you using real applications? Are you mimicking the environment, the DNA in your network, exactly in your deception network, so the attacker doesn't have any doubt that he is entering into a deception solution. It's very important that you have an authentic solution that does not or is not easily fingerprinted by the attacker. Deception won't work against real attackers. No, that is not. That is a myth, and it's not true. We, in the various proof of concepts that we do around the region, 99% of the time, we catch real attackers that are currently present in the network that are trying to do malicious activities. They're trying to either harvest the credentials in the Active Directories so they can move around and infect more assets in your network. Some of them are trying to do a ransomware attack, but the real results of a deception solution is definitely either sensing a real attacker from outside that manages to come into your network, or giving you an alert to an internal threat actor already existing in the network that is also trying to do some damage or trying to steal some credentials that you have in your network. Thank you very much for the time today in my presentation. I think I have maybe a minute or so for questions or two, if anybody has any question. Yes, sir. So the question is, how can you differentiate between a user and a hacker? A user can be a hacker, right? So the way we differentiate this is when we deploy our deception servers, we deploy them in real IP addresses that you give us from your network. Unused, unpublished IP addresses that are currently into your network. So nobody, internal or external, should know about this IP address. It's unpublished. Nobody should know about it. So if I am scanning this IP address for more resource, then automatically I will raise a flag or I raise an alert to you that this might be somebody who is trying to do bad things on your network. This is number one. Number two, we also insert in our solution fake credentials, because ultimately speaking, the hacker will go into Active Directory or go into the network to elevate his credentials, get those credentials, and move around to log into the servers or whatever he wants. So the fake credentials that we put in also will alert to a user or a hacker or a hacker that is a user. Does that answer your question, sir?
Thank you.
One more question, sir.
Thank you for this excellent presentation. I have a quick question that you have said that deception is internal. It is inside the network.
Right.
Can we also put, as per the best practices, on the external, what you call interface, or on DMZ? What is the best practice?
Yes. You can actually put deception on the DMZ pointing outside, but you will get a lot of hits. The intention of the Attivo solution was basically to be internal inside your network, to be the last layer of defense, just in case this attack manages to come in. At least you have some tool to be able to get over. But yes, we've seen deployments where the solution is pointing to the internet, but the intention of deception is to protect you from the last mile of attack, protect you from the data breach or the breach of the asset in the network by disturbing the progress of the attack inside the network. Anybody else? One more question.
Thank you for the presentation. I have a question as to what is the number of deceptive agents that you're supposed to put in your network? Is there like a ratio? Like if you have this size of network, you have to deploy this size of agents or deceptive hosts?
A very good question. So the normal ratio we use is between 3 to 5 servers per VLAN. So that does vary from one organization to another. We really have to come and inspect your network and see how many VLANs you have, how many real IP or desktops or servers or endpoints you have in each VLANs. And for example, if you have a VLAN of 10 systems, right? And you put one deception server or one deception asset, your probability of catching this attack is 10%, right? If you put 2 servers, you've increased that probability to 20%. So I can tell you, the more you put deception assets and deception credentials, the more probability you'll have to catch that attack. So it depends on your desire. How much do you want to mitigate the attack, and how much do you have a probability of catching the attack? So it really depends on, but the average is 3 to 5 deception servers per VLAN. Yes, sir. So the question is there any performance impact on the deception server on my actual VLAN? Actually, the answer is no. Why? Because you are building, so you have a VLAN of 100 IP addresses, and you're only using 50 IP addresses. I ask you, give me 10 IP addresses. So you're enlarging your VLAN from 50 servers to 60 servers. They are similar to the real servers or the real assets you have in the network. No impact on the current solution. We plant them there so we can lure the attacker from coming to us and not coming to the real assets. So there are actually no impact at all in your current. It's a silent element. It sits there and it waits for somebody to come to it. Anybody who comes to me is guilty by association. He is a victim, he is a crook, he is a hacker, and once he touches me, an alert will go to from Attivo, and you can have that alert shared by many controls that are already existing in your network. Okay? Okay, thank you very much for your time. We have a stand. If you have any more questions, we welcome you to come and interact with us. Thank you very much.